Okay. Well, welcome everybody. I'm Stacy from the Iowa City Public Library, where I run our digital media lab. And if you aren't familiar with that lab, it's the old computer lab that we refurbished a few years ago. We have 10 Adobe Creative Cloud licenses on both desktop and laptop computers, which means that you can use Photoshop, Illustrator, Premiere Pro for video editing, etc. We also have some larger scanners. We have drawing tablets, and the equipment that usually draws oohs of excitement is VHS conversion equipment. So you can take your old family tapes and save them on DVD or digitally for the future. Anyone with a library card is eligible to become a member of that digital media lab. You just have to go through a brief orientation first. But of course, the library is currently closed, so teaching you about Canva seemed like a good way to keep people creating things, this time from the safety of your own home. So what is Canva? It's an online graphic design tool at canva.com, and you could think of it as a free alternative to something like Microsoft Publisher, but it's about 1,000 times trendier than something like Publisher. On this website, you'll be able to quickly and easily create things like party invitations, restaurant brochures, even infographics. It has its own unique interface that's quite user-friendly. And using Canva is free, but some of the fonts, images, photos, etc., are only available for pay, usually $1 each, or for people with pro memberships, which is usually shown by a little crown icon. So you should be able to get great results on Canva for free. I have never paid for anything on Canva. And as we go along, I'll show you how to spot those free versus paid elements. I see a few main benefits to using Canva. One, it's so much simpler than Photoshop or other software like that to make something creative. Photoshop is great, of course. We provide it to you and want you to play with stuff like that. But if you're just trying to make something quick, this is a lot easier. Two, they provide the correct size for all sorts of formats so that you don't look sloppy. So for example, they have formats for Instagram stories, social media posts, Pinterest board, titles, etc. They have done the research for you for how many pixels, what dimensions are correct for those websites. And so you just plug in your stuff and it will look perfect. Finally, Canva is a great source of inspiration for design. If you start with them, you'll start on the right track by taking advantage of their contemporary looking templates, either using one and altering it or browsing for inspiration first. For me, sometimes I can be stingy with my designs. If I start with a blank canvas, I'll put a little bit of text in the middle, I'll put a picture at the top, and I might forget to use the whole space, to layer, to add accents. And so looking through their examples first can put me in the right frame of mind for making something creative. There's a lot of gorgeous stuff on Canva, so let's go ahead and take a look. Let me get to the right spot here. Oh, but before I do that, one second, I'm going to show you how you'll sign up for a Canva account. So let me share my screen. Okay, so hopefully you can see my little PowerPoint here. All right, so you'll sign up for a free account at canva.com. And you're able to do it with your existing Google or Facebook account, but I usually sign up for a fresh thing with my email address. Oops. So here I put in my information and a password, and it takes me to a screen where I'm choosing what kind of account. So you'll see they have all these different options. Most of us will want a personal account. If by chance you are a student or a teacher, maybe those are also free and maybe they give you a little something special, but you would want to just investigate that first. Personal would be the default choice. And then they do try to sell you on the Canva Pro. So it took me a little looking to find this maybe later option up here. So don't get waylaid by that. You'll be able to get through with a free account. After you've done that setup, it'll take you straight into the Canva website. But just one note that you will get an email asking you to confirm your email address at some point. So that'll be the last step getting started. Any questions about the account part? No? All right. Well, then let me share my screen once more and we'll start on our little project. So one moment. Okay, so hopefully you are seeing the website there. So today, as our example project, we're going to alter a photo for social media on the theme of Pride Month. So maybe you've seen people with Facebook frames for awareness months or for certain causes, where it's the picture of your friend, but there might be a colorful band around their picture with some text or a graphic. This will be a manual way of achieving something similar, but customized to what you want. If that sounds like a lot of work that you would never want to do, that's fine. If you don't even have Facebook or Instagram, or if you aren't interested in Pride Month, all of that is okay. The things that I'm going to show you could be used for any kind of project on Canva. It's just an example to show you some cool tricks here. So on the Canva homepage, we can scroll down to see all these formats. There are so many formats now. Canva has really expanded their offerings since I first used it about 4 years ago. And one new one, if I scroll down a little bit farther here, hope this is not making you sick. One new one is videos. This was just launched in the last week or so, that they'll let you put in your own video and they'll have some formatting around it, and you can do some editing in there. But basically they have all of these different options for anything you might like to do virtually or print out in real life. You can also, from the top, you can search for a certain type of document here, or scroll down and see those options again in a more condensed way. You can also start by looking at their templates across the top from this drop-down. Or you could start by clicking this Create a Design button. Why there are so many options for how to start, I don't know, but there are a lot. You also can make something with custom dimensions, if you see this here. So if you know that you're going to be printing something, you can choose inches and the amount of dimensions that will work for what you're printing. So let's say you wanted to make your holiday cards and have them printed at Walgreens, and you know that they do 4x6. You could type 4x6 in here, and you would know that your output would be correct for your printing place. Any questions about that so far before we start my project? Okay, well, I'm gonna start with an Instagram post. And that might not make a lot of sense, thinking that this is going to be a profile picture, but profile picture is not an option because most people just use a blank or a regular photo of themselves, right? But Instagram post I like because it's gonna be square, which is what most social media sites require, and that it's gonna be a good resolution or size so that it won't be grainy. So if I start with an Instagram post, no, blank one, takes a second to load up here. So you'll see that I start with a blank canvas. And this toolbar at the left has all of the options for what I can add. They do have a lot of templates, as I mentioned before, with different themes. So you might enjoy looking at those, and you can see the variety that they have. But we're going to do this from scratch so that you learn all of the different possibilities here. Near the bottom is the background option. If I click that, I can add a background to my box. You'll see at the top here, there are some solid colors that will fill my space. I could also click on this little art palette and see some more options, or select a custom color that I particularly like. Another option is to scroll down to these initial pictures. And this is a good chance to show you the distinction between the free and the paid options. So as I hover over this yellow box, you'll see it says free at the bottom right. This one's free, this one's free, this one's free. This one does not say free, right? So if I click on this sort of iridescent swirl, you'll see this big watermark covering up the picture and saying Canva. If I were to ask it to remove the watermark, it's going to give me some options for becoming a paid customer. So I can just get rid of that by clicking this trash can at the upper right, and I can move on to find something that is free. You can use their provided backgrounds, or if you can't find a free option that you're satisfied with, you can always upload your own images. These can be photos that you took yourself, or you could search on websites like pixabay.com for royalty-free stock images that you can use. You also, up here in the background, could search for a theme, and if it's free, use that one as well. But let's look at the upload option. So coming up higher in my little toolbar to the left, I have uploads. And I'm going to find on my computer this picture of me that I took. So this little bar is working, and now I know that it has loaded. And as I drag myself over here, if my arrow is in the right place, it fills the background, or if it's in the middle, it'll drop it as a smaller picture element. And then I can grab the corners and resize it to fit. Remember, since we're thinking about these as profile pictures, remember that Facebook and Instagram will crop your profile picture into a circle. So you wouldn't want to spend a lot of time customizing these corners. Just a heads up. If, of course, you were doing some other kind of project, like an invitation or something like that, you want to use the whole space. But here I am with my photo. So if I double click it, whoops. If I click it once, sorry. If I click it once, I see some new options across the top. So adjust is the basic photo editing options. So I can change the brightness. I can increase the contrast a little bit. I can change these other standard ways of controlling a picture. And if I click out into this open space, that goes away. The filter is sort of like the standard filters on your phone or on Instagram. You can only have one operating at a time. You can switch back to none at any time. You can also control the intensity and play with that. And then effects are more extreme filters. So they have these duo tones where it changes it pretty dramatically. If I click on it again, that will let me see some options. So I could decrease the intensity. I can change the color if I don't like the color that they provided, and I can apply that, but I'll choose not to for right now. Another option that is great for Pride Month is this rainbow option. Boom, already your picture is customized. Again, you can click on it a second time to control it a little bit. And I found this offset when I practiced. I liked changing that a little bit. Somehow that felt like it zinged a bit more for me. So I'm gonna go ahead and apply that rainbow to me. And you can goof around with these options and place some more. Some of them are kind of extreme. You might like that, you might not. So I just applied this slice effect and I changed my mind. So up across the top in this blue bar, this left arrow will undo it, but you also can use keyboard controls, Control Z, to go back a step. One nice thing about Canva is that it will let you undo the things you've changed infinitely. So you can go all the way back to the beginning if you regret something that a whole path that you went down. Let's see. So let's say I'm happy with the rainbow effect on me, but just in case anyone didn't get that it's Pride Month, I want to add some text. So this is one of my options along the left.
Hey, Stacy.
Yeah.
Just a quick question. I somehow missed where you got to the effects.
Sure, yeah.
Seeing that option, was it along the left-hand side?
No, so once I click once on my picture on any photo, then it shows up along the top here, just above my canvas that I'm working on. So there's a background color, animate is a new thing since yesterday, and then effects. Do you see that on yours?
I don't see that. I'm wondering if I need to be on a certain thing on the left-hand side to get that. As I'm oh, I see position. There's like a paint roller.
Yeah, so it only shows up if you've selected a photo. Do you have a photo?
Oh.
Yeah, if you had some other kind of element, it's not necessarily an option.
Okay, let me try that real quick and make sure.
Sure. And for anybody else, you're of course welcome to try to play along at the same time. Normally in a class like this, I would want you to be playing along, but I just don't know virtually how to make that work. So my guess is that you'll want to goof around with this on your own after the class.
Okay.
And you're welcome though, Emily, to confirm.
But I won't slow you down, but I just was like, I really want to try to do that. Why am I missing? So I got it. Thank you so much.
Yeah, and so I'll just add that when you're playing on your own, if you have any questions, feel free to email me and I'll help you out.
Thank you.
So, okay, so we just came to this text option. And so there's some options here. I can choose sort of the rough size of the thing I want to add by a heading, subheading, etc. Or I can scroll down and look at these provided text sections that they offer. I'm not necessarily having a wild sale, but I could decide I love this font, right? And so there's these 3 dots along the top. I can, sometimes it'll tell you what the font is. Let's see if I can find one. No, okay, well, that doesn't matter. I could decide I like the wild sail look. I can click it once and it'll show up on my canvas. And then I don't need this up to 50% off, so I can delete that. And I just clicked once or twice into that space and then deleted with my keyboard backspace. And I can move it out of the way and click again, and I can write, I don't know what I'm writing. I'm writing Happy Pride. And I just clicked out into the open area so I can see how that would look in a finalized version. But now I want to change the color of this, so I'm going to click it once more to select it, and I'll see my options across the top here. I've got my font that I can control. I've got the size. Here I can change the text color. And one thing that's kind of nice about Canva is that they know that I have a photo as part of this project, and they picked out by an algorithm some of the prominent colors in the photo to kind of help me make design decisions. In this case, I just want it to be white. But if you were doing something like an invitation and you wanted it to look very sort of muted and classy, you could pull those colors from an existing photo or another element so that it looked put together. So here I am with my final picture here for this version. Now remember, if I'm putting this on Facebook, it's gonna cut off that happy pride, but you know, you can play around with it for how you'd want that to fit. Let me talk a little bit about the controls in case they aren't intuitive to anybody. So as I click on this, the two-ended arrow at the corner here is for resizing. And the cool thing about that for text is that I can change the size by typing in numbers, but that can be kind of a crapshoot, and you might have to do it 10 times before you're happy. And it will let you resize on the fly with the corner, which is quite nice. The four-way arrow, I don't know if I can get that to show up for text. With text, I can move the whole thing by grabbing in the middle, and this four-way arrow shows up to indicate that I'm moving it. And then this curved arrow is for rotating. So most people will probably find those to be familiar looking tools. In addition to moving by grabbing it with the four arrows, sometimes it sort of clicks things into place, not exactly where you want it. So you can fine tune the movement by using the arrows on your keyboard as well. Get it exactly where you want it. Another thing that's nice about Canva is that they have some guidelines. So this is lining it up. I don't know, it's putting it into the center box somehow. This means that it's lined up right in the middle of my document. This would mean that it's in both the center, both sideways and vertically. And if I added something else to here, if I added another heading, let me move that out of the way, it would center them to each other too. If I scoot this over, bring this over, it tells me that those are centered to each other now too. One more thing to note, you can resize something bigger than the canvas. So you see how I'm kind of bleeding off of the edges here? That's fine. If I click over into my white space, it'll show me how it actually looks in real life. And again, to delete this, I can select it and press the delete on my keyboard or the trash can. So before we move on, any questions about the text part or uploading something? We're going to talk about elements next, which is kind of a rich section of Canva.
Can you hear me?
Yep.
Okay. With these texts that you can paste onto your picture, can you go in and change or edit those texts instead of like Happy Pride? What if you wanted to put it in Spanish, for example?
Yeah, as long as you can, as long as you know the Spanish that you want to type in.
Yeah, but I mean, I could choose happy, and it would write feliz right there in the same wiggly way, and then pride in the you know, whatever. Yeah, how about that?
Yeah.
Okay, good. That's good to know.
Yeah, it's totally customizable. So let me show you something else just to be clear. So I got my Felice Pride came from using one of these sort of templates, but I can just add a heading move it out of the way here. I can type whatever I want to. I can change the font. I should have shown you this because this is important.
Yeah.
So they have some really beautiful fonts, but unfortunately, a lot of them have this little crown, right? Those are just for the pro customers. So I have sort of trained my eye as I scroll to only see the ones that don't have the crown because it's hard to get attached to something and then not get to use it. So you'll want to be careful as you go to avoid those and pick something that's free. Yeah.
Stacey, I have a question. So if you've got your background or your text, do you need to keep saving it along the process?
That is a great question. You don't. It automatically saves for you. If you are nervous, like I can be about that, if you go to the File drop-down, it tells me all changes are saved. So it does it live like it would for Google Docs or something like that, where it's basically every few seconds it's updating. So there we go. It took like 3 seconds. So yeah, you don't have to pay attention to that as you go along.
Great, thanks.
If you wanted to save a version, or if you're making several different ones of a similar theme, I noticed that it said save to file. Would you could name it and save it to your desktop at that point and then keep working?
Yeah, saving it to your desktop. The form that would take is downloading the final
I
version.
see.
So you won't be able to save a workable document.
It's not editable after that.
Right. But what I would do, so let's say I made my semi-Spanish version here, and I wanted to do the same thing in English or in French or something else. I can do this. So now I have 2. And I can change this. And I can do that an infinite number of times, and it will save it in that same document so that it's easy to get back and find my version later.
Cool.
I'm going to save this for the end, but I'll just show you, since we're on the topic, that if I go to download it now, it lets me choose which pages I want to download. So if I made a small adjustment to the Spanish one and I only wanted to save that one, I can just download one at a time, or I can do the whole thing. We'll come back to that. What other questions do you have? Okay, then I'll get on to the elements, which are like half of the excitement with Canva. So let me delete what I have here. And what I learned as I practiced for this is that you can't undo a photo effect. So I'm gonna start fresh with my regular photo. So along the left here, elements. And actually, since I'm not coming back, let me just point out about the photo part. These are stock photos that they provide. A lot of them are free, but also a lot of them are not. So you can search on a theme and get a photo that is royalty free that you can use for your purposes. If you're using Canvas to sell things that you've created, you would want to check on those photos one by one to make sure that it's royalty free for commercial purposes. But if you're just using things for your own fun, then you're free to use any of those pictures. I did look into the copyright part of Canva at one point, and it was a little bit of dense reading. But if that's the reason you're interested in Canva, you can look on their website and hash out whether your idea will work for Canva. Okay, so here we are in the elements. Some featured elements are here on topical themes. Isn't that nice? They also have grids, which is a way of laying out your space. Shapes that you can customize. So I could add a circle And if you see this color up here, that means that I can change the color to any color that I like. I can also change the transparency. And a couple other things, but for the most part, that's good enough. One thing that I haven't used a lot, but that might be interesting to you is frames. So let me open those up. This is basically a way of controlling the shape of a photo that you add into your project. So where you see all of these landscape images, that'll be a picture that you squish into that frame after you've placed it. So I could put a picture of myself here that would have the squiggly edges and leave the background visible, etc. So if you like the Facebook way where they tend to have an outline around the circular picture, they don't have a frame that's exactly for that, but you can make it work with this donut frame. I'll just walk you through that really quickly. So here again, I'm doing the thing where I'm sizing it bigger than the canvas, and that's okay. Centering it on myself using those guidelines. And now I can put something in to fill this frame. So let me find another photo. I'm gonna use this one. Whoops. And if I drag it onto the frame, it fills it in quite nicely. So I could decide to add some text around here and write, you know, Pride 2020 or whatever I wanted. I don't think they have a way for the text to curve. So if you did that, you would have to break it into little bits and rotate them, but you could try that. Another way to use the frames, if I back up enough here, is they have these letters. This is fairly new too. So I could decide to write Pride or something else in these letters and then fill it in with photos or with solid colors that were on the theme. So I could do rainbow colors here for Pride. This would also be really fun if you were doing like a party invitation for a little kid and you made their name really fun pictures or colors. It also could be nice to do your family's last name and use family photos for either like a holiday card or a family reunion or something like that. So I'll just show you again how I can use the photos. I can search for the color yellow. I'm looking, these are for the pro accounts, but this one is free. So I'm gonna drag that in onto my letter. I can search for orange. This one's free. This one costs something. I can drag that in, etc. So that could be something fun to play with. The other elements, so I clicked on elements and here I am, I'm still stuck in the frames, right? So if I click on elements again, it takes me out of frames. If I click on it once more, nope, I thought it would take me to the top. That's okay. I'm gonna get rid of this Pride. Other elements that I use a lot are the shapes and the lines. So you can watch out for those. But what's fun is this clip art. So you can scroll through these collections where maybe one illustrator or they've all been illustrated in the same style so that you could have a very cohesive look for your project, right? That ties it together nicely. But you can also do a search. So if I search for a heart, and I like this one, let's say. Again, I can change the color. And one effect you could try is I'm going to select it and I can copy and paste it. and then change the color again to something else, and it sort of has a nice duplicating effect or shadow effect. Let's see, I made some notes here. Let me make sure I'm covering all of my options here. Oh, and I got silly when I was practicing this. So you can, you can do funny stuff to yourself and people will be amused, right? Changing the position. Okay, so like I had with this, if I thought this looked fine, but I wish that the red one was on top, I can control that with this position button. So I've selected the orange one. I can send it backwards so that now the red one's on top. I also, this could be a good time to change the transparency, something like that. So I'm gonna delete these, and let me show you another way you can use elements in a custom way. So if I search now for rainbow, some of these cost, right? Just gonna keep pointing that out. But let's say I like this one. For some rainbows, let me test this. This one does not have a color square up here, so I can't control these colors. The most I could do is make it transparent. But for some of the clip art, I can control the colors. So with this rainbow, all 4 of these colors show up at the top so that I can change them. So you may know that there's a lot of different pride flags for different orientations. So let's say I'm asexual and that flag is black, gray, white, and purple. Well, here's a nice 4-bar rainbow that I can change to match that flag. That could be a fun way to customize your pride image. So this pink is at the top. I'm gonna make it black. Orange is next. I'm gonna make that gray. Yellow, I'm gonna make it white. I'm gonna make this one purple. If I don't like this purple, of course, I can come to this color picker and I can adjust it however I want to. And then I can put that wherever it makes sense for me. I could copy and paste it and rotate it so that I have the same thing in my corners. Another thing that they offer is this flip option along the top. This is maybe a bad example to show that, but you can flip it horizontally or vertically, and then you don't have to mess with the rotation part. Another thing you can do is find a standard rainbow image, sort of rectangular like this one. And I could put that on top of my picture, sized up really big, make it transparent. And this would be a different way of achieving that rainbow effect that I got earlier from the photo editing. And you could do that with any picture that you've found online and you upload. So if you had a specific flag that you wanted to put on top of your picture, you can find one. Oftentimes you can find it so that it's royalty free, so it's okay that you're using it. Or if you want to make your own flag, you could do that with some rectangles. So let me show you how that works. So in my elements, I'm backing out and I'm finding my shapes. So this square lets me stretch out the sides, scrunch it up. Actually, I'm not going to show you on here. I have an example that I can show you so that you don't have to sit through me making a bunch of rectangles. So you see how I very cavalierly went back to the home screen because I know that it's saved for me. These were my sample pictures that I made for the event description. And we can come back and look at him later at how I made that. But for this one, this is the bisexual flag. And so I made a rectangle. I just kind of eyeballed the color, and then I made it transparent. A benefit of doing it this way, this one I'm at 58 transparency, this one I'm at 55. I fine-tuned that to what looked right, and I can control that intensity to make it, you know, more or less intense. So that could be another way to express yourself for Pride. And then obviously this is just a text box that I rotated and put on top of it. For this guy, you can probably tell that I used the rainbow effect on his picture. I put this text box on the top. I found this rainbow as an element and I made it transparent. And then I found just some little fun elements. So I don't know if I searched for stars or what. Something like that. But I threw in a jazzy element, and with these, I could change the color too if I didn't like those colors. Right? So there's lots of different ways to control what you're seeing and make it your own. But yeah, let me just walk you through that download step again for once you're done, how you'll download the image. So this one is kind of an all right example because it's got these 3 different pages on it, right? So up at the right, if I download, first of all, you have to decide about your file type. So PNG, it says is suggested. This is a high quality image, and any social media site will accept a PNG upload. They also take a JPEG, it's just slightly less quality. If you are working on something big, if you're doing the resume example that we saw, or something that you want to print, like an invitation that you're going to print yourself on your home computer or at the library, you might want to save it as a PDF so that it's a reliable size. And then there's a couple other options here, but PNG is good for this. I could control the size, oops. I can only control the size if I pay. I can only control the transparent background if I pay. And I can only compress it with a pro account. So I'm going to ignore all of that. I'm going to choose just to save the first one and download it to my computer. And I'm going to save it. And as always, they really are excited about Canva Pro, but I'm ignoring that. And like I said before, if you come back to home, it will have saved my progress under your designs. Although, do you see how, so it took a minute. It might not update the preview right away, so don't be alarmed if you worked hard on something and you came back to it and you didn't see your changes. I've had lots of times where that's scared me. It doesn't always update that thumbnail, but it does automatically save, and you can see all of your projects at once.
Stacy, can you print directly from a program, or you have to download it to the computer?
I
To a desktop?
think you do have to download it. I guess,
Yeah.
let me try. Let me go back to sharing my screen.
I was kind of looking around. I didn't see any way.
I think it wants to go through the step of choosing a file type.
Mm-hmm.
There isn't an option here. I mean, you probably could in your browser print the page and it would be very small and you would see all this other garbage at the side. So you do have to save it to get it.
Okay.
Yeah.
I was just thinking sometimes if you're using a shared computer or something, that's not always available, but you would have it on your account until you got to a place where you could download it, I'm sure.
Yeah. One other thing I don't know if it's worth mentioning, but sometimes that download step, like I'm just too lazy to go through those steps. And so you can always do a screenshot of your little section if you are in a really big hurry and not in the mood to save it properly. So that's also
a good idea.
Is there a way to show what the crop is going to look like once you get it into Instagram or Facebook? Do they offer that?
So I don't think that they do. You know, when I looked for the elements, sorry, you're not seeing my screen with me. Let me share again. When I looked through the frames, there just isn't a frame that has a big circle cut out of it. So I guess you could sort of use this. Nope, I wouldn't use that. What you could do in the elements, you can get the shapes. There's one that's an outline of a circle, and you could throw that onto your document, size it as big as it will let you here, and maybe set it to white so that it blends in with the background, and use that as your way of gauging what will be visible. And then when it comes time to save it, you could delete that circle.
That makes sense.
So that it looks polished. Yeah. What other questions are there?
I'm a little confused.
I'm sorry.
That's okay. When you were you downloading to your computer, or
Yeah.
was it still in the program?
Nope, the download puts it on my computer as a photo file.
Okay, that's where you didn't say photo. I didn't know where it went.
Yeah,
When you downloaded it. Downloads it into Photos.
well,
And then-
no, it just puts it on my, so you're right. I don't want you to see my messy desktop, but this is the basic. Depending on what kind of browser you're using, it may download it directly to your desktop, or it may, let me share my screen once more.
Can you say where you're going to download it to, or?
Yeah, depending on your browser. So,
Okay, I'm using Chrome.
okay, and I'm in Firefox, so this might look a little bit different, but if I go to download this, and it takes a second to convert it, and gives you a nice quote to read while you wait. I'm choosing to save the file, and sorry, my little Zoom box is in the way. In Firefox anyway, it shows up in my downloads here, and I can grab that and put it on my desktop. That's the way I normally do it. If you are on a Windows computer, it might behave
I'm on a Windows.
Yeah, so
I'm still lost.
you're okay. So if you feel that lost, let's try to do this in Chrome. Let me stop sharing, and then I'll get us open in Chrome instead.
Okay.
My Chrome is not used very often, so it might take a minute to get running.
I just did it in Chrome and it went to my downloads folder, but I'm not sure if that was a default I set somewhere. But
Okay.
that's where anything I download off of a website goes, and then I can take it from that folder and put it in a
Okay, okay,
proper
great,
file.
great. That helps me.
Yeah.
Let
You
me,
found me.
so this will just sort of be a good way to reiterate how this whole thing goes. So canva.com, if it will please go. And if you're using a different browser or a different computer, it will want you to log in. Oh boy, Chrome is not my friend. It's trying. Okay, so I can log in since I already have an account. Cross my fingers that that's the right password. No. Dang it. What would it be? No, it wouldn't be that. Hooray. All right, everyone has that problem, right? It's not
Yep.
just- So here I am. I can scroll down. I can see my designs. So there should be this white circle around my face that we just did in the other browser window. If everything is acting normal. Yep. So if I go to download from here, I can do it as JPEG. Will also work. And for Chrome, you see how it gives me this bar across the bottom?
Yeah. So then you can open it and put it where you want it.
And it did it as a zip file. Anybody have a guess why it did that?
Too big.
No. Oh, yeah, it's a zip file because it's too large. And then,
It's because I have multiple pages in this design. If I just had the one, then it would just have been a JPEG and it would have been pretty normal.
oh, okay.
So from here, I can
Open zip.
open it up, save it however I want to.
Yeah. Okay. Gotcha.
Okay. What other questions are there? I would also be happy to hear what project ideas people had in mind. If you signed up for this class, maybe if you share your project, that might inspire someone else who came for the.
I'll go. I am going to be starting a seasonal 4-year newsletter for the program I work for, and was hoping to be able to do it through Canva. I played around just a little bit with it for posters or flyers, but I know they have some nice newsletter templates that if I got started on one, I'd be able to tweak it to make it look seasonal, but keep the same format.
Yeah, let me, if you don't mind, if I'm not making you sick of me sharing my screen, let me show you one other trick you can use. So when I am looking at my designs, and this 3 dots here, I can make a copy of this document. And this is maybe a bad example, but I can make a copy, and then I've saved, it gives me a copy of that document that
Yeah,
one intact,
that's great.
and I can adjust this however I want to. So that's not that impressive for this photo, but for your newsletter, if you've put in a lot of effort of setting up the way things are laid out, that will be great.
That would be excellent. And then you can keep all the core pieces where they need to go, but change the photos and stuff. Yeah, thank you.
Yep, and you can rename those. One thing, if you do that copying, it does retain that original thumbnail for like weeks. I don't know why it does that. So you may be irritated by that.
You have to click through each one. Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, can you rename them, but you just can't change the thumbnail as far as you know, or?
As far as I know, the thumbnail will naturally change after it's in the right mood for the thumbnail to change. I don't know what controls that.
Yeah.
Stacy, do you know if you can do really big things like banners?
Oh, that's a good question. I'm going to share again. It would depend on the inches. So I guess I've never had a banner printed. If you go to have a banner printed, I'm sure they give you some dimensions that are printable, right?
Like 30 by 60.
Okay, so let's see if it allows me to do something that big. Well, that was the wrong direction. So this is another good point. So I did it in the wrong way, right?
Right, yeah.
Here's this resize option, but that's only available for the pro members. So I would just start over.
Me too, yeah.
Custom dimensions, and it says right there width. So 60 width by 30 height. It defaulted back to pixels, which would be a very, very tiny image. So I want to make sure you get your inches on there. Oops. And so it's going to look small on the screen, but you can see that it's showing this to me at 10% zoom.
Oh, wow, okay.
So it will be quite big once you use it. And if I put some text on, remember how large that the heading text looked over my face?
Mm-hmm.
Well, I guess it looks just as big, but this is size 238, whereas it was size more like 100 or something, or maybe more like 50 on my face. So yeah. What are you, do you make a lot of banners, Wendy?
No. Well, I was just curious if we could do it.
Yeah, that's a great question. And I wonder if you could, I wonder if you could do the banner, save it as a PDF. It would probably save it, you would probably want to save it as a giant image instead of a PDF for someone else to print. But I wonder if you saved it as a PDF, if it would make it into printable pages. Let me goof around with that while someone else can feel free to ask another question. If I save this as a PDF, and open it. Nope, it just saves it as a humongous PDF.
Yeah.
So I'm not sure that would help you. I was wondering if you could print a dozen pages and tape them together.
Oh, I see what you're saying. Yeah,
You might have to think of a different creative way to accomplish that.
Stacy, this is Barbara. Back on the home page, down near the bottom, there's an area called marketing. And marketing might have banners under that. Or also near the top, there's a question mark for help or request. You might put banner in there.
Good idea.
Oh, yeah, that's a good.
What comes up.
So I see a blog
A
banner.
blog banner.
So these banners are not like large printed banners. These are what might go at the top of your
Right,
profile for something.
on printed material.
Yeah.
Right.
So I guess I would say to take advantage of their templates, because there are so many and that's powerful. But if you are planning to print something, the safest way to be certain that it's going to be the right size would be to start from scratch.
Mhm.
And I know it sounds like extra work, but if I was going to make a giant banner, I might look through their templates for other things first to get design ideas, but then I would start from scratch and replicate it myself. Another thing you can do, let's say there's a template that you like, but you need it to be a different size that's custom for you. You can have both of those documents open in different tabs, and I'm pretty sure that you can copy and paste between them. So if there was some shape that you liked, you could copy it, open up your other document, and paste it in. Pretty sure that works.
Great.
Stacy, you might also want to ask the folks at Zephyr, or, you know, how to move something that you created to their programming, and they could make the banner for you.
Yeah, so I haven't used them in particular, but you could check with them. Do they prefer a JPEG, a PNG, a PDF? You could tell them explicitly that you're planning to make something in Canva, and they might have some advice.
Right.
So yeah, that's a good idea.
Yeah.
What other questions are there? Or what other projects do people have in mind? Do you feel like you're prepared to goof around in there and play some?
Yeah.
Or
Oh, yes, definitely.
That's a good way to put it.
the low pressure way
Yes.
to put it?
It's
Yeah.
an amazing program. I'm just amazed at how versatile it is, and it's free.
Yeah.
Right.
How do they make their living?
Well, they really want you to become a pro member, don't they? I mean,
Yeah.
you're going to see that come up a bunch. Yeah.
How much is the pro thing?
Hmm?
How much
Oh,
is
it's $9.95 a month.
Ew.
But they must be making money because I think I don't know if they purchased or if they have a partnership with, I think, Pixabay, one of the free stock image websites. So this is a company that's working to get better and better. And I'm sure their hope is that people who are running organizations will do the professional account and take advantage of that, and that will support the free version for the rest of us. Claire, go ahead. Oh, and you're unmuted, but I still couldn't hear you.
Picture on Facebook.
So all I heard was Facebook.
How do they post a picture on Facebook?
Yeah, so that act of downloading it and saving it to my desktop meant that I can go to my Facebook account and I can upload it from my desktop there. If you were doing this on your phone, it probably would download into your photos on your phone and you could upload it the same way.
Thank you.
Yeah.
My photo can't be uploaded.
So the video went funny. Can you say that one more time?
Can't read files and photos couldn't be uploaded.
Oh, so you just tried it and it didn't work?
Yeah.
What kind of file type was it? Was it a
No,
JPEG or PNG?
You just hit save image as.
Okay, well, certainly if it had been saved as a zip file, that wouldn't work. When you said save image as, that sounds like you didn't do the download step. Did you do the download part, or did you right click on it maybe?
How to download it.
Okay, well maybe we can stick around afterwards and I'll make sure that ends up working for you. So don't leave until you're happy with that, Claire, okay? Does anybody else have any questions before we wrap up?
Nope, I'm going to have to leave. So thank you. It has been very helpful and I'm glad I joined you.
Yeah,
Thank
well,
you much.
I'm
Bye.
glad you all came, and you know, if we were in person, I would have been excited to see what you all would make and what directions you would go with all of the design options on there. But you know, here we are. So
Yeah.
if you wanted to email me something that you made, I would be delighted to see it. Otherwise, maybe I'll catch you sometime in our digital media lab at the library.
Thanks so much.
Thank you. All right. Thank you for coming.
Thank you so much.